Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
A very good evening, dear participants, delegates, and speakers. Welcome to the Day 5 of AVLOKAN, the International Research Summit on Redefining Social Responsibility with Ethical Leadership, organized by Vidyanidhi, Student Research and Development Cell, in association with Gyanidhi, Faculty Research Cell of Center for Management Studies, Jain Dean to be University. We received your immense support and presence for the last 4 days and desire to continue this journey with the same spark for upcoming days as well. Today, we have with us Ms. Nidhi Vadera, a leading sales coach, business consultant, and India's first women author on sales, speaking on the topic, the inverted funnel, and Professor V. Ranganathan, retired RBI chair and professor, IIM Bangalore, delivering his views on the topic, redefining social responsibility and ethics. Dear participants, please fill the feedback form for all the sessions to receive certificate and post your questions in Q&A box, which will be taken up by the moderator. Thank you once again to all of you joining in and making the summit worthwhile. Dear participants, let me take you through the journey of next 6 days, that is 7th, 8th, and 9th of August. On 7th of August, we have track presentations on general management and case study. On 8th of August, we have our track presentations on general management, case study, and marketing. And on 9th of August, we have the track presentations on finance and HRM. Requesting all the presenters to be on time and 15 minutes ahead before to join in the session. Thank you. Dear participants, we request you to fill the feedback form for all the sessions to receive certificate and post your questions and queries in the QA and box, which will be considered by the moderator of the session. Dear participants, the feedback form is also available on Facebook page in comment section of live video. It is provided only during the session. Please fill the feedback form to receive the certificates, and certificates will be sent to you by 25th of August. Dear participants, let me take you through the next 3 days of journey. On 7th of August, we have the track presentations on general management and case study. On 8th of August 2021, we have the track presentations on general management, case study, and marketing. And on 9th of August, we have track presentations on HRM and finance. The presenters, please be present there 15 minutes prior to the session. And participants, please note that the feedback form is also available on the Facebook page in the comment section of the live video. It is posted only during the session. Please fill the feedback form to receive certificates. The certificates will reach you by 25th of August, 2021. Participants, let me take you through the next 3-day of journey of track presentations. On 7th of August 2021, we have track presentations on general management and case study. On 8th of August 2021, we have track presentations on general management, case study, and marketing. On 9th of August 2021, we have track presentations on HRM and finance. And on 10th of August, we are extremely elated and honored to host Dr. Philip Kotler, the father of modern marketing, to you. We humbly request you to be present for the same. Participants, please fill the feedback form for all sessions to receive certificate, and please note that the feedback form is also available on Facebook page in the comment section of the live video. The feedback form will only be available during the respective sessions. Please fill the feedback form to receive certificates, and the certificates will reach to you by 25th of August 2021. We will start our today's session on scheduled time. So please be with us to experience this learning journey. Good evening, VC sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Dear participants, let me take you through the journey for the next 3 days. On 7th of August, we will have track presentations on general management and case study. On 8th of August 2021, we shall have presentations on general management, case study, and marketing. On 9th of August 2021, we will have track presentations on finance and HR. On 10th of August, the day when we are extremely elated and honored to host Dr. Philip Kotler, the father of modern marketing, to you. We humbly request you to be present for the same.
Speaker for the day has joined. Prasad, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Welcome. No, ma'am. Nidhi, ma'am, welcome. Ma'am, you're not audible yet.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yes, I can. I think I
Good evening, ma'am. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Varsha,
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you, Vaisakhi, ma'am.
I welcome Professor V. Ranganathan and Ms. Nidhi Vadera for the session. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Good evening.
Dear participants, we'll start the session in next few minutes. So please be with us to experience this learning journey of this 9-day International Research Summit, AVLOKAN. Dear participants, for the next 3 days, we have our track presentations. On 7th of August, we have the track presentation on general management and case study. On 8th of August, we have the track presentation on general management, case study, and marketing. On 9th of August, we have the track presentation on HRM and finance. And on 10th of August, the most awaited day, we are elated and honored to host Dr. Philip Kotler, the father of modern marketing, to you. We humbly request you to be present for the session and enrich yourself with his expertise and learning. Dear participants, please fill the feedback form to receive your certificates on a daily basis. Please note that the feedback form is also available on the Facebook page in the comment section of the live video, which will be available only during the session. Please fill your feedback forms and you'll be receiving your certificates by 25th of August, 2021. A very good evening, dear participants, delegates, and speakers. Welcome to the day 5 of AVLOKAN, the International Research Summit on Redefining Social Responsibility with Ethical Leadership, organized by Vidyanidhi, Student Research and Development Cell, in association with Gyanidhi, Faculty Research Cell of Center for Management Studies, Jane Dean to be University. We have received your immense support and presence for the last 4 days and desire to continue this journey with the same spark for the upcoming days as well. Dear participants, please fill the feedback form for all the sessions to receive certificates, and please post your question in the Q&A box, which shall be taken up by our moderator. Thanks once again to all of you joining in and making this summit worthwhile. And on this note, I would like to invite Dr. Rama L. to introduce our first speaker for the day. Dr. Rama, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Baishaki. Now, with immense respect and gratitude, I feel honored to take this privilege to welcome our speaker of the session, Ms. Nidhi Vadera. Ms. Vadera is a leading sales coach, business consultant, and India's first women author on sales to come to the foray and unveil groundbreaking realities about sales. Her vision of teaching the value of mindset and processes across various functions in businesses has led her to author her first book, Romancing Targets, which is a descriptive representation of integral practices in the sales journey. Her professional journey began as a sales executive with a leading financial services organization, where she went through her own set of struggles in achieving numbers, managing internal and external teams, and developing a resilient funnel for future businesses. After 17 years of rigorous learning and hands-on experience, Ms. Nidhi realized the necessity to bridge gaps between perceived selling and actual selling, which encouraged her to design learning programs to simplify even the most complex challenges in sales that are relevant across industries. Today, over 4,230 entrepreneurs and individuals rely on Nidhi's analytical approach and deep understanding of business scenarios to identify a robust action plan that leads to tangible results. With an unwavering commitment to create impact, Ms. Nidhi is a sales coach, leader, and mentor. Once again, I welcome you, ma'am, as our esteemed speaker for today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
Rama, ma'am, first of all, I have to thank you. It felt like I'm going for an Oscar award. Such a heartwarming, such a lovely introduction you've given. I'm totally
Thank you.
bedazzled.
Thank you, ma'am.
You have energized me even more. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gen University. I cannot express in words my gratitude of the forum that you have created. I mean, we are 335 people put together in this session right now, and I cannot imagine this kind of opportunity available to each one of us if it was not for Avlokan, if it was not for the Research Summit. I mean, we have the Nobel laureates with us, we have the father of modern marketing with us, we have the industry experts, mentors with us. From where on earth do you get an opportunity like this? And I feel all the students all the youngsters who are involved with this forum, they are extremely blessed to be a part of Avlokan 2021. And I would like to begin my conversation by thanking Dr. Shenraj Roy for his vision, Dr. N. Sundara Rajan, Dr. Raj Singh, Dr. Ishwaran Iyer, Dr. N.V.H. Krishnan, Professor Sridhara Murthy, Dr. Dinesh Neelkant, Dr. Varsha Agarwal, all the faculty members and my darling students, because I know what it takes to put an event of this magnitude together, how much investment you must have made of time, effort, and of course of your money to bring all this together. 9 days is not a joke. I have seen conferences that extend for a day, extend for 2, 9 days is a big, massive task. And all kudos to Jain University and the entire team for putting this together. So thank you, ma'am, once again for this lovely introduction. And as you know, I represent the sales space. I will be having a candid conversation with you. I would have a heart-to-heart conversation in terms of how my journey has been, what have I learned. And my only agenda is that by the time I finish my talk, I should be able to leave at least a point or two in your mind, which you think, Nidhi, we invested so much time with you. At least one thing you said which made sense to us. So that's the whole agenda. And with that, please allow me to share my screen. I'm going to take you through the journey of sales that I have lived so far. So, selling has a very interesting history and not many people know about it. So we think about, selling existed even in the days of cavemen, but those times there was no structure to selling. We did not see it as a separate vertical, as a separate department, or as a separate domain. So if you have ever heard about terms like farmers and hunters, you will be amazed to know that these terms were coined way back in 1870 in the US market when we were talking about selling insurance. So that it is more than 100 years now. That is when we started getting into the fine aspect of fine structuring of the sales element. From there, something really magical and important happened in 1924. So what happened is when salespeople started going out and selling in the market, they were always focused because they had their targets on their head. So they would, push. They would push sales on people. They would just get the money and come back. So the perspective salespeople had about them was that these people are crooked. These people are cheat. They just want to take money and run away, and we should not trust them. So in 1924, IBM's then CEO, Mr. Thomas J. Watson, he realized that salespeople actually are not crooked. They are just doing their job. It is just that they have to integrate a little bit of human element in their approach. And that is when he decided that we need to bring in structured learning into selling. We need to bring formal, training programs where we can integrate different elements of how to speak to the customer, how to maintain the relationship with them. And 1924, it all started in a structured way. From there, we moved on to Dale Carnegie's research, his experimentation in terms of tactical selling. Then we had E.K. Strong, who started talking about psychology of selling. And from then, interestingly, the history of selling unfolded to spin selling and solution selling, the things that we now talk about and we really look forward to in terms of we've learned some strategy about selling. Then in the year 2000, another vertical got added to selling, which is business development. So before that, it was only the farmer, and it was only the hunter. There was nobody to manage the relationship with the customers. So that is when another role got added in business development. And in 2021, as we speak, today we talk about the integration of AI into sales. We have everything automated. You have your email automation, you have your documentation management, you have your proposal, automation, you have everything at the click of the button. So from that time when we were selling as a caveman to this day where we have complete integration of AI into sales, I am yet to see one child who says, I want to grow up and become a salesperson. I do not know about your experience. I have not seen one child saying that one day people say, I want to grow up and become a doctor. I want to become an engineer. I want to become a marketing guru. I want to become the CEO. I want to, have my own entrepreneurship. But people don't want to become salespeople, which means, at least in a country like ours, where still selling is in a little unstructured way, for most of us who represent the sales space, for us it is a default path. We did not choose it. Let's admit it happened to us. So similarly, my journey also started in sales by default, and I'm talking about the days when I was just getting started. I was right out of my college. I was looking for a placement, and fortunately, like Rama ma'am already told all of you, an interesting opportunity worked out with one of the leading MNCs in the country then, way back, one of the leading financial services institution, and my happiness had no bounds. I thought I had arrived in life, I have made it. And at that age, we are at a point where we daydream a lot. Before even doing something, there are so many dreams in the mind. So I started thinking, I'll go to my office, I'll dress up nice, I'll talk like this, I'll meet nice people, I'll have so much money in my bank account. 6 months down the line, I'll apply for car loan. 1 year down the line, I will apply for a housing loan. So those were the dreams I was getting into. And I was completely, in awe of that opening that I got. And I used to flaunt it left, right, center. So from the day I got my appointment letter till the day I actually got onto the shop floor, I could not wait. Finally, the day came when our induction started. Now, again, for induction, they took us to a 5-star hotel. Nice place, great meal, top of the line trainers. I thought that if this is the experience they are giving me before I get onto the shop floor, what's going to happen when I join the organization? So my dreams got even more bigger. Finally, the day came when I entered my organization, and it was not as much of what I had thought. So I went to my office. I thought everybody was busy doing something. Nobody was willing to talk to one another. There was some kind of pressure. Everybody had frown lines on their forehead. And, I had to figure out how I fit into that environment. So it went on like that. 7:30, I looked at my watch. There was no sign of anybody going home. So I thought, oh my God, am I really at a place that I dreamt about? Are my dreams going to come down collapsing? What's going to happen with me? Any which way, I thought, I may need some time to fit in. So I went back home. Next morning when I came, so my manager, he handed me over the target of the month. Now, interestingly, what happened during my induction program? The trainer taught me that sales is simple. There is a funnel in sales. Okay? The funnel is this. You find out people who will buy from you. You qualify those people. You make a presentation. You close the sale. And then you build relationship with them so that you can upsell, you can cross-sell, and then you stay in touch with them. So when my manager, he handed me over the sales target, I thought this is my day. Today I'm going to prove to this organization that I am the sales superstar of the millennium. I'm going to turn around all the results. I'm going to turn around all the figures because I know the methodology. I have the funnel with me. So how difficult can it be? So I fanatically started calling people left, right, center. Those days we did not have so much of access to Google, and we did not have so much of access to, Facebook ads and Insta ads. So I started calling people. First of all, I could not find people who were willing to buy. Even if I found some people who were willing to buy, they did not have money. Those who had money, they had objections. And since I was not prepared to handle objections, I could not close the sale. So, forget about being sad. I came to a point where I was literally shattered. I thought, what really happened? Because what I saw on the presentation, what my trainer taught me was so simple. And it's easy. You go to people, you are, from inside, you genuinely want to help them. You want to give them a solution. You have got a fantastic product. Then why the hell are people not buying from me? So I was at a point where not just 1 week, but month on month, I started skipping my targets. I started missing my targets. 1 month it happened. People said, okay, she's new, give her some more time. Second month it happened. Third month it happened. So by then I had a stamp of, I literally had a stamp on my forehead which said non-performer. So I was not eating on time because I was constantly worried about fulfilling my targets. I was not able to connect with people, and call it the age, call it the environment. I do not know who to actually blame it on. At this age, I realized the blame is to be on me, but at that age, I did not realize. And I had this air about me. I thought, why should I go to anybody asking for help? If I ask for help, I'll become smaller. And because of that attitude, I suffered so much. I had no time to go and meet with people, talk to them. My parents were saying that, this girl has no time, she's now busy with her job. My friends started complaining that she has become arrogant now. She has no patience for anybody. So that was a point when I was literally at the lowest low of my life. Now, why I'm sharing this story with all of you is for all the people who are yet to start their corporate jobs, who are yet to start their entrepreneurship journey, my dear friend, this is going to happen with you also. Unless and until you understand that the funnel that needs to be inverted. Okay, so in today's dynamic market, in today's global market, it all begins with networking and building the relationship. If you are not agreeing to this one component, nothing is going to change for you. And I'm sorry to say the journey is going to be super, super difficult. Yeah. So, so now what really hurts me is when I look at salespeople, no? These days, what I'm observing is that a lot of interaction is happening online. People are more comfortable talking to each other, connecting with one another online. But I can give you one thing in writing, guys. At least once in your life, you're going to come across a situation where you will go to a conference. You would not know who is the host of the conference. You would not know who are your fellow attendees. You would not even know what is the agenda of the conference. But you would be required to network with people and form relationship with them. Right? So at that point, do you think that there is a possibility of going ahead and sending a hi text? That doesn't work. So the reason I have brought you till this point, the reason I'm talking to you so much is because my question to you is, have you started preparing for it? Have you started stepping out of your comfort zone? See, I completely understand that you are very happy and you're very comfortable with your own peer group. You're very happy and comfortable with people who make you feel nice. But are you comfortable interacting with people who you do not know? Because the market where you are going to step into is going to be a complete unknown market. It's a super competitive market. If people, there are people who are sending, if not exactly the same, people are selling similar products which are very close to what you are selling. So in that situation, if you do not know how to connect with people, nobody is going to come and buy from you. So I'm sure that, now as I speak with you, your brain must have started giving you some situation. You're reminded of some situation where you were face to face with a person, you had the opportunity to go and speak with them, but you did not take the first step. You did not go ahead and speak with them in spite of having a great opportunity in front of them, in front of you. And tell me if I'm wrong. When we connect with somebody, more than knowing about the person, don't we end up knowing more about ourselves? More in terms of what kind of emotions get generated in us. What kind of behavior do we like, we don't like? What do we approve, what we don't approve? So when we meet somebody, it is always your gain more than the person that you are connecting with. So people waste a lot of time in terms of having small talks. Hi, hello, how are you? For me, a small talk when it comes to relationship building, it is like, you're standing in a library. You have all the knowledge bank in front of you. You can read about the glorious past. You can read about the great future that lies ahead of you, and you're standing in front of the bookshelf. You're not even going close to the book to learn anything from their life experiences. So this is one thing which I want all of us to immediately change if you want to stay associated in the sales space. So please do not waste your time in having a small talk. Guys, when it comes to building relationship and connecting with people, and all the esteemed, the people who are present with us in this conference, they would validate this, that it is not about the title. It is not about your recognition. It is not about, how much fame you have. It is more about who that person is and what has been their journey like to reach the point where they have reached today. So when you speak to your professors, when you speak to your educators, instead of going and asking them, oh, you have, sir, you have a doctorate degree, this is fantastic, you should be more keen in asking what the challenges your professor, your doctor has faced in reaching till that point where they acquired that journey. That is the biggest lesson. You go to your canteen, instead of asking your canteen guy, give me a samosa, give me a Coca-Cola, or how was your day, find out from that canteen guy that what kept him put with running the canteen in spite of managing so many odds. Why is he still doing what he is doing? So I want all of us to take a step forward and understand that the funnel needs to be inverted, guys. So once I understood this power, once I understood that the funnel doesn't work the way it was taught to us, it really needs to be inverted, that is when I started seeing a massive change in the results that I was generating in myself. I started performing in city. I started meeting all my targets. There was a lot of recognition that started coming my way. I even gathered the courage of, getting into my own entrepreneurship journey, start my consulting business. I got on to writing my book, and here I am in front of you today. So what I mean to say is that if I can do it, I have understood that the funnel needs to be inverted, and if you understand the same, the journey is going to be completely transformational for you from this point onwards. So I have spoken a lot about my journey, what have I experienced, but over the years, I have seen a lot of change in the market. I have seen a lot of change in the way people have been interacting. Now, some of you may come from the mindset that, Nidhi, this is the digital era. We live in the online era. I mean, where is the scope of meeting people? Everything is happening online. So think about it. Now, when you are in the sales space, you are in the business space, you're trying to create a promotion, you're trying to put out a Facebook ad, you want to, create some kind of promotional material about what you are doing, then also you will have to stay connected at the human level. Otherwise, what do you know you have to write in your ad copy? What do you know what you have to write in your email? I mean, how do you bond with the other person? Every message that you craft communicates something. And the more you are grounded, the more you are connected with the human element, the sharper you'll be able to draft your messages. So what I learned is that the funnel is completely inverted. It starts with relationship building. Okay, and relationship is built when people see that you are consistent, you stand for something, and you have some kind of value to extend to them. If you don't have the element of value, people are not going to stay connected with you. They will not build relationship with you. Think about it. Even on Instagram, if you want a like, which is a free like, people don't give that like to you unless and until they see value in the content that you are presenting. So number one, relationship building. Number two, when you build yourself, when you build relationship with people, when they start seeing you as somebody who has knowledge, the second thing that happens is that they start coming to you for opinion. Now, biggest mistake that the entrepreneurs make at this point is when people come for opinion, they start presenting their products. They start presenting, that this is what I have and that is how I can help you. That needs to immediately stop. When someone has come to you asking for opinion, your job is to give them opinion, not make a sale. So please be careful at this step. Once you present use your suggestions to them, this can be done, that can be done. Again, at still this point, we are not making a sale to the customer. We are not making a sale to our audience. Your work is to stay closely connected with them. Your work is to stay, maintain that relationship, but still we are not making a sale. And finally, when you allow some time, when you've built the relationship, when you've given them the solution, you have maintained the relationship, they now trust you. They have some kind of credibility on you. That is when you make a sale. Now, in this funnel, again, there are two problems. The problems are that people falter, especially on two levels. First is this level, where we talk about building relationship. Because the ego, that is such a damaging element in anyone's journey. That needs to be kept aside. Why should I go? Why should I make the first move? My dear friend, if you are willing to stay in the sales space, in the entrepreneurship space, please leave your ego aside, bury it somewhere, put petrol and burn it. I don't know what words to use, but your ego has to completely go down the drain. So don't hesitate in building relationship with people. And finally, the last point, which is making the sale. This is again where people chicken out. So they are good in managing relationship. They're very good with networking. They're very good with having a conversation, but they chicken out when they have to ask for money. So these 2 points are the ones where you have to literally strengthen yourself if you're thinking about stepping out into the market, whether in the corporate space or in the entrepreneurship space. So before I leave you and before I conclude the session, I have 3 very important lessons that I have learned in my life that I really want to share with you. The 3 important lessons why I want to share with you is because you have invested your time with me, and it is only fair that I should give you something in return that you feel that your time was worth investing. So the first lesson I have for you is, my dear friends, sales is simple, business is simple, success is simple, but it's not easy. What I mean by that is that if you have taken on this journey, there'll be multiple times where you will fail. There'll be multiple times where you will have to stay consistent with the idea. There'll be multiple times when you have to show grit to stand up to what you have taken up for. So sales is simple, business is simple, it's not easy. So if you ever look at a successful person, be it a man or a woman, and if you feel, oh my God, she's lucky or he's lucky, my dear friend, you are far, far, far away from reality. Nobody has become successful easy. So that's my first lesson. My second lesson for you is your bank account. Over the years, you will realize your bank account will always remain directly proportional to the number of people you help. Which means if you ever find yourself struggling for revenues, it's time to go back to your drawing board. It's time to figure out more ways to help people. And the third important lesson I have for you is, please do not think about entrepreneurship if you cannot embrace selling. It is like you having your own baby and you expect the world to raise your baby. Doesn't work like that. So thank you once again for investing your time with me. Thank you so much. And once again, AVLOKAN is a fantastic opportunity. I have attended the session and I got so many ideas in terms of how the market is behaving, globally. What are the things that need to be plugged in? What can be done in terms of fixing the gender diversity issues? A lot I have learned, and I'm truly, from the bottom of my heart, I'm thankful to all of you. So guys, this is a great opportunity, and I'm talking to the students who are listening to me. This is a fantastic opportunity. You must not leave any stone unturned to network with your mentors, to network with your peer. But remember, while you do your networking, while you're trying to get in touch with people, keep your funnel inverted. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for conferring your valuable views and sharing your profound ideas with us. It's been indeed a pleasure to listen to your in-depth thoughts. Now we have some questions from our participants.
Sure, I would love to take on the questions.
So we have a question from a participant called Sadik P. Ma'am, how difficult nowadays for corporates for selling through digital platform among bottom level of pyramid in developing and underdeveloped countries where digital medium is a big challenge?
See, again, if you're talking about the countries that are still taking on the digital medium, I see it as a big opportunity. I do not see it as a challenge, because this market is just developing in the digital space. So depending on how hands-on you are with the digital medium, it definitely has an opportunity for you.
And the next question is, in the light of corona pandemic that has swept the entire world, what are the suggestions that a doctor offers regarding success in business management?
I think pandemic, this has been one of the market situations that could not be avoided. I mean, though we try to fight it, sometimes, in spite of the government announcing the ban, we still tried pushing along. We thought maybe it's a matter of a few days. But there are certain businesses that have really been killed because of the pandemic. Like all your businesses related with hospitality, tourism, all the businesses that were client facing, they have really suffered. Having said that, there is a huge boom in the businesses which are in the online space. So for me, if I were to give you a suggestion that post-pandemic you have to revive your business, you have to come back to business, I would say be a little more human in your interactions. So because just like you, everybody else is struggling with money. So if you think about closing a sale immediately, a piece of business immediately, I think you're pushing too hard. So stay a little patient, give people time, give time to the economy to revive, because your numbers are directly linked to how the market is behaving. So when the market rises, automatically your work becomes easy, your customers will have more money to pay you, and you will be able to do better business.
Thank you, ma'am. We have another question from a participant, Mr. Praveen. I think knowing about emotion of customer is a golden power, is whether it is correct or not.
I think if you can know the customer's emotion, there is no person intelligent than you alive on the planet. Because emotions are so super fluctuating. Even sometimes the person who is experiencing the emotion, they cannot hold on to the emotion for a longer time. So now when you're having a conversation, it may so happen that you know about your customer's emotion at 10 o'clock in the morning. But when you connect with them at 10:30, the emotion must have already gone through a transformation or a transition. They may be happier, they may be more, in a frustrated mood. You do not know what exactly is happening. But while you are speaking with them, if you have learned the art of nailing their emotion at that very moment, I think you have a massive advantage in terms of your sales conversations.
We have one last question from our student Pooja Pravardhani. How to make sales difficult for customers virtually? How do we make sales virtually difficult?
How do you make a sale to the customer virtually?
Yes.
So Pooja, thank you for asking me this question. This is my zone, this is my space now that you asked me this question, because my work revolves around interacting with people over the e-medium mostly. And if I were to give you the long story short, there is a format, there is a template that all of the leading people who are in the sales space, especially selling over the webinars, we use a format. And once you get a grip of how that needs to be done, you will be able to sell through the e-medium also. So it's not difficult. I think one advantage, one commonality which I see between offline selling and online selling is that 55% of your communication, which you already know, that happens through your body language. And that communication is standard whether you sell online or offline. But how you craft your offer, how you build the entire credibility part, how you actually add value, how you bundle up your offer, that is something which is a little different, which can be done more beautifully over the e-medium, because one, you are comfortable, you are not stressed about, oh my God, I'm tired, I'm rushing for the meeting, I'm getting late, what if the client, cancels the meeting at the last end. So all those stress factors, those are away, and that's a huge advantage. Secondly, you have more options in terms of playing around with your digital gadgets, because you are at the comfort of your own office, your own space. So selling on e-medium is super fun, it is interesting, and I think if you delve deeper into this, you'll find out a way how to do it correctly.
Thank you, ma'am. We have Dr. Varsha Agarwal who would like to ask you a question, ma'am.
Hi, Varsha.
Thank you so much. Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this talk. I just wanted to ask you two questions, basically. One is, how much do you connect selling with entrepreneurship? Do you think that those who are good sellers are also good entrepreneurs?
100%. 100%. If you know how to sell, then you can sell anything under the sky, because you have formed a connection. You've seen that movie Avatar. When you form that, the tail connection with your dragon, you know what needs to be done. The space embraces you, you embrace the space. So, and for me, if you ask me, for me, sales is a way of life. Whether you are proposing to your girlfriend, whether you are asking your parents to send you for higher education, whether you are requesting your professors, ma'am, please give me extension for the assignment, it is all selling. You are selling your idea. See, all of us are selling. We are selling a product, service, or an idea. So let's be clear that all of us are salespeople. Now, the differentiating factor is who is able to sell in spite of the odds, and who is able to stay consistent irrespective of failure. That is the defining line.
I also wanted to ask you one more thing. I think in chat box also I'm seeing a lot of questions regarding motivation and sales. Unless you are self-motivated, you cannot go for sales. So my question to you is that there are some days which are very much difficult for us emotionally, or we are too much drained, and our targets won't be reduced for that. So how do we go about it?
You can't do a thing about it. You can't do a thing about it. Your targets are going to be where it is, because your success is linked to your boss's success. Your boss's success is linked to the direct profits of the organization. So if we don't if we don't close a sale, there is no blood to run your organization, right? Everybody needs to be paid. All the salaries have to be paid. The revenues have to be maintained. So yes, there are days, and even at this stage where I am, after so many years in selling, I at least 5 times a day, I go through the emotional high and low. What will happen is, over the years, over the span of time, your targets will not reduce, but you will be able to control your emotions better, and that makes so much of a difference. For example, let's say if I'm demotivated right now, and if I stay in that demotivated zone, I will not be able to convert any sale throughout the day. That is a guarantee. But over the years, I learned that now I have given myself a 20-minute window. Even if anything happens to me, 20 minutes is my top line. Beyond that, I can't be in that low zone. So try to come up the curve as fast as you can. Your targets will never be reduced. Make peace with it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Over to Shifa.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enriching our prospects about how we can turn the regular sales funnel upside down, bringing the best to the world of sales. This address certainly benefited us with your pearls of wisdom. Giving us your time really helps in making this summit fruitful to our participants. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I also wanted to mention, yesterday we had a session from our director, sir, regarding networking. Are you there, ma'am?
Yes, yes, very much.
Yeah, actually, yesterday we had a session from our director, Dr. Dinesh Neelkant, on networking. And today, whatever you have spoken, I feel that that's quite extension of the same. How do we go about it, networking? And you have very well connected it with the selling. So I think we have got a very back-to-back this connect between these two sessions.
A sheer coincidence, and I'm very happy Dr.
Yes,
has also taken up on the same topic because I think somewhere we believe that this is the pulse.
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And on this note, I would like to invite Dr. Neha to introduce our next speaker of this session. Over to you, Dr. Neha.
Thank you, Shifa ma'am. Now, on this note, I feel immensely privileged to introduce our next speaker for the session, Professor V. Ranganathan. Professor Ranganathan is retired as RBI chair. He has been a professor at IIM Bangalore teaching economics and energy. After retirement, he has taught in various IIMs and been visiting distinguished professor at IIT Mandi for 3 semesters. He has also been a member of Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, Fulbright Scholar at Harvard University, visiting professor at University of Pennsylvania and AIT Thailand. Dear sir, it gives us immense pleasure to welcome you to deliver your views. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you and good evening to all of you. I thank Jain College management for inviting me to this August conference. As Groucho Marx normally said, I don't like to be a member which admits me. But here I find that accepting me, everybody else is a stalwart. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit on the main topic of the seminar, which is the ethics and social responsibility. And in terms of ethics, I'm going to talk about what is the definition of ethics, where from it comes, and where it is applied, etc. And once we go there, then, yeah, excuse me. Are you seeing the?
So you want me to run your slides?
I am running it myself.
Okay, as of now, it's not visible.
No. One minute.
Sure, sir.
Is it? PPT for me. Can you run the PPT for me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Quickly, I can do, sir. Just give me 2 seconds. I'll just quickly.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is everybody able to see it?
Is visible?
We can see it, sir. We can see it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the control is passed to them, right?
Yes, sir. You can tell me when to shift. I'll do it.
Yeah. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. Ethics comes from the Greek word ethos, which is a characteristic spirit of culture, era, community in its attitudes and aspirations. It's also dealing with the moral principles in terms of what is good, what is bad. Another dimension of ethic is I versus the other. It is most of the time in economics, we say self-interest maximization. But do we also look at others? Do we treat others just as we would like to be treated by others? As Sankara said, Atmavateva paranapi pashyata. Just like you would like to be treated, you look at others as well. Next one, please. Yeah. Now, we look at where does it come from, the ethics. One source is God or religion, where you say, God has said this, so I follow. That is the authority. And since that is the immutable authority, there's no argument. As God himself in Gita says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam braja aham tva sarva papebhyaha mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Forget about all the rules, forget about all the dharmas, just surrender to me and I will take care of you, which is also the motto of LIC of India. Then another source of content for ethics is philosophy. One philosophy, Hindu philosophy, says doctrine of predestination. That is, we believe in destiny. This is what is going to happen. No matter what you do, you are not going to change it. The moving hand writeth and having written moves on. Now, again, I go back to Gita, where when Arjun was downcast with the feeling of, how can I hurl the arrow at my own relatives, fathers, grandfathers, etc. He says, they have all been killed by me already. You are only an instrument. Mayaivate nihata purvameva. Earlier itself, they have been killed. So you are only a toy, programmed toy. The problem with this philosophy is it absorbs you of your action. Imagine General Dyer says it's all predestined. So many people to die, So in certain contexts, it's just not acceptable. I think sometimes it happens, you keep doing things, putting 100% effort, etc., but it doesn't go your way, you see? Then you say, go turn to this destiny. Nothing, I can't do anything against destiny. But in the life's experience, this is what I found. That is, God has beautifully put destiny on the one hand and results for your own effort on the other. That is also there. So to the extent you have to be responsible for your actions will give certain benefits or rewards or punishments if they are bad. So some accountability for your action is also built in, but at the same time, you are not the master 100% yourself. So that is the beauty of life. Then the next aspect is it draws from culture also. Western culture, for instance, everybody in the West is a non-vegetarian, whereas in India, at least significant. Of course, it's still a minority. They are vegetarians. Now, even among non-vegetarians, some section has a taboo on pork, some section has a taboo on beef. Okay, so it's all dependent on culture. Some say, why is it eating beef is wrong or eating pork is wrong? So that's an aspect of culture. Sometimes it's also, we will talk about it as we go along, namely, it is a function of circumstances also, which I will amplify later. Now, the next aspect is human consciousness. Dharma is what is occurring to me, what my conscience says. And conscience is, after all, intuition. Okay. Now, I want to give two examples here. In Shakuntala, King Dushyanta is a Kshatriya. He sees Shakuntala in the hermitage of a Brahmin surroundings. And yet, he says his noble mind falls for her. So he questions himself. I am kila kshatra parigraha kshama. This lady is fit to be married to a kshatriya. Why? Sata yadaryam asyam abhilashi me manaha. Because my noble mind has gone after her. Then Kalidasa adds a beautiful general statement. Satam hi sandeha padeshu vastushu. For good people in matters of doubt, pramanam, what is the authority? Antakarana pravrittayaha. Their own conscience is the authority. Again, in Yaksha Prashna, the four brothers of the elder brother, Yudhishthir, have gone to the tree to take some water in the lake nearby. The Yaksha in the tree says, you first answer my questions and then take the water. They just ignore him, take the water, and they fall dead. Then Yudhishthir comes. He answers all the four questions, and therefore Yaksha says, okay, I'm very pleased with you. Name one of your brothers, I will make him alive. And therefore, on hearing this, Yudhishthir says, okay, let Nakula come alive. Then he said, how is it that instead of your own brother, you asked your stepbrother to come alive? And for that, Yudhishthir says, Dharma eva hato hanti, dharmo rakshati rakshitaha, tasmat dharmam natyajami, mano dharmo hato vadhit. Dharma eva hato hanti. Dharma kills that person who kills dharma. Dharma protects that person who protects dharma. Okay. Next one, please. Okay. Another source of content for ethics is a rational moral cost-benefit analysis of actions and their consequences, which sums up to greatest good for the greatest number of people. Now, this concept looks nice, After all, at a large scale, this is how policies should be. But then it can lead to majoritarianism or the tyranny of majority. For example, looking at our own situation, let's say Hindi is spoken by maximum number of people and therefore Hindi will be the national language. What about the others who don't speak Hindi? So this is forcing a language on others. Similarly, one group of people may say cow is sacred for Hindus. And we know that cow vigilantism has led to mob lynching and some innocent person dying as a result of it. Similarly, Muhammad is sacred for Muslims. But the French cartoon newspaper Charlie Hebdo said, cartoon, the basic philosophy of cartoon is making light of things. So it published some cartoon which offended people. So the question is, do you offend people just because some people should have a laugh? That's one point of view. The other point of view, why don't you take it lightly? It's just for fun. Again, depending on where you are, you will take the position. Then again, in an extended cost-benefit analysis sense, environmental economics says you can set off environmental costs against economic benefits and look at the net benefits. For instance, in hydroelectric projects, it gives huge amounts of hydroelectricity as well as flood control. So at the cheapest rate possible. But then there is the dam and then the question of rehabilitating people for the dam, etc. So in that case, can you find out how to compensate these people, Oosties and so on? But ecologists are a little more pro-environment than economists. So they say, oh, you are just making a sham because the real environmental costs cannot be quantified, nor can it be monetized. And therefore, don't try to indulge in a situation where you do a make-believe calculation and justify things. Now, how can you, for instance, put a value on multicultural forests? How can you replace them with single culture, monoculture plantations? Okay, so that is their argument. Next one, please. The other aspect of cost-benefit analysis is you don't look at consequences, but only some actions are good by nature, irrespective of outcome. Means also have to be good as much as the ends, you see. Example is we want freedom, but not through any means. We don't want it through non-violence, Gandhi ji said. Then there is this virtue ethics, which is similar to what we talked about earlier. Virtue has to be followed for its own sake. As I saw a beautiful statement in Bishop Cotton Boys School right here in Bangalore, which says, it is good to be important, but more important to be good. I think, when you pass away, what will people say in your obituary? Will they say he's a good man or a woman? That's what is important, because that's what you will leave later on. The question is also, what is good? And the answer is that which is followed by great men. You see, Mahajano yena gatas sapanthaha. one of the 3-4 questions is Kaf Pantha Kacha Vartika, which is the way? Yaksha asks Yudhishthir the same question. And the answer is this: Mahajano Yena Gatassa Pantha. That is the path which is trodden by great men, great people. Then we come to another dimension of ethics called the situation ethics. That is, it's good in a particular, what is good in a particular situation. There's nothing like universal ethics, universal virtue. What is good in a context is important. Like, for instance, Vedic Brahmins were meat eaters. Modern Brahmins mostly are vegetarians. In fact, M.N. Srinivas coined a term called Sanskritization, where lower caste people are aping the higher caste habits like vegetarianism. In Tamil Nadu, there's a caste called Saiva Pillais. Saiva is vegetarian. Saiva Pillais, they want to be nearer to the Brahmins, and so they are vegetarians. But then it has a limitation also. Coastal Brahmins eat fish, both on Mangalore side, West Coast side, as well as East Coast side, famously Bengal. And they consider it vegetarian, fish as vegetarian. Reason is, again, situational, because it's available plenty. Men were considered superior to women in early days because of physical strength. Now, if you say superiority, people will laugh at you. People will think you are a Rip Van Winkle. This is what I found. Gita was saying, Striyo Vaishyas Tatha Sudraha Tepiyanti Parangatim. It is not only anti-gender, anti-racial, it's anti-racial also. Racial. That women, Vaishyas and Shrudras also can go to heaven. What to speak of Brahmins and Raja Rishis and so on. Next one, please. Yeah. Okay, now I have gained control myself. You don't have to bother. Thank you. Then there is moral absolutism versus and relativism. That is, all these morals, are they absolute or relative? Absolutism says some rules apply to everyone, like human rights. Okay, so there is a scope, certain area for absolutism. But most of the situations, moral is relative. It is a situation-based ethics. So you have an ethical continuum, which is ethical, which can be both legal and illegal. Something which is implementable, unethical things are put as legal versus illegal framework. And then if it is too bad, you say it is criminal. Okay. Let's say how this classification works. Jumping the queue is unethical. Okay. Or littering is unethical. In fact, I live in front of a park. It's a beautiful park. People sweep it every day, nice. But when you go at 8 o'clock in the morning, it is littered with food wastes. People come to the park, eat, and then throw things around. So I asked myself, why do people do that? So, such a nice park. does it not prick their conscience to control and put it in the waste paper basket at least? Then these are, you can say, people who are rejected by society, whom the society has not taken care of. So they don't care for opinions of people. You see? So it is something for the society to think about. Okay. Distinctions are based on cost. These various distinctions, legal, criminal, etc., are based on cost of implementing the rules versus the benefit. That it's not all clear sometimes. There are moral ambiguities and inconsistencies. That is, if you have many right answers, which one you choose? For instance, you are sheltering an innocent person hounded by police. Should you lie or save him or speak the truth and hand him over? Or there is the next example is again is example where which shows our inconsistency. I was going through environmental assessment of putting up some coal-based plants on the west coast. So they said it's an imported coal, ships will come and it will disturb the marine life, etc. But ships come to Tuticorin also on the east coast, or to Chennai, or to go further up in Andhra Pradesh coast. That's okay, because those fishes are not endangered. In the west coast, some fishes are endangered. So we have an inconsistent yardstick for endangered and unendangered fishes. We don't mind eating fishes, but we want to prevent some fishes from dying. The same argument for protecting all endangered species. Can you be a non-vegetarian and make the argument is the question. Another is anthropocentric. The Nordic country people are very, very green, but they don't mind. They are extremely going to the last mile to save people and to have a better environment. But they don't mind killing animals for their own food. There was a famous case on morality enunciated by a Harvard professor. Some 5 people are going in a ship. The ship gets marooned and there's limited rations in the ship. 4 people are sailors and 1 is a servant. So these 4 people decide, ask him if he will sacrifice himself, and he agrees. So they kill him and eat him. Then the professor asks the people, is it okay? A lot of people will say, oh, it's like cannibalism, not good. Some people say, oh, they have taken the consent, so that mitigates the harm. I ask, what if it is not a man, but a dog or a goat? Would the question have even arisen? So we are anthropocentric when it comes to the ultimate analysis. Okay, now let me turn to social responsibility. is basically the good behavior we owe to others. Here again, you can have three types. One is individual to individual, like wear a mask in COVID times, or individual to society. Don't spit in public places. And the park example I gave you also. Then the third one is corporate to society. Don't pollute the environment. Treat the effluent discharged to remove all the toxic chemicals, etc. Okay, we will see. We will take the last one for greater scrutiny, corporate to society. Now, when you say corporate, of course, we are dealing with free markets. Free market philosophy is the dominant motive force for corporates. Now, free market economics is essentially neutral about ethics. It doesn't say anything about ethics. You know, the Indian programmers are cheap, less than the world rate. Well, it's just supply and demand. There are just simply more number of people and therefore wages are low. It doesn't bother about their productivity, etc. Similarly, our own domestics, we get them, we give them minimum wage, less than minimum wage, because that is the market wage. We give them market wage, which can be less than minimum wage. So the government has to intervene to introduce some ethical aspects of a reasonable standard of living, etc. That is why minimum wage laws are there. But economics, positive economics again says, okay, if you have minimum wage, you will have more unemployment. So the laws of economics are also immutable. Now, that aspect is slowly shifting. That is, free market said, personified by Milton Friedman, it said, your first CSR, corporate social responsibility, is to make profit. Your second CSR is to make profit. The third CSR is to make profit. That's what Milton Friedman famously said. But Milton Friedman is out of date now. Today, you say, no, you have a responsibility not only to shareholders, but also to all the stakeholders. The concept of stakeholder has come. Suppliers, consumers, and employees. You have to be fair to give respect to all of them. You can't take one, suppliers. For instance, you see the Walmart treats its suppliers badly. It squeezes the last penny out of them, cent out of them. So it doesn't have a good name. Okay. Apart from financial reporting, now there is sustainability reporting, such as energy consumed, carbon accounting, etc. So the additional social responsibilities are being spelled out, as well as investors are also making their investment decisions based on CSR activities. All these things come as the brand value, which is the premium over the value of the firm, which is based on net present value of the net benefits over the years. So that is the value of the firm. So beyond the physical value of the firm, it still has another value, brand value. And the brand value captures these CSR activities, etc. But while CSR is voluntary in other countries, in India it is mandatory for profit-making firms. which I feel is not a good idea because it dilutes government's responsibility. Why do you say the Wipro should take care of education and teach the teachers, etc.? They are doing it, no doubt. They are doing an excellent job, but it's the job of the government. So it allows the government to shirk its responsibility more and more. Therefore, I don't like this. Similarly, these firms, Infosys also has a NGO to take the people who are dropouts and then put them back in educational stream. But are they experts there? Are they experts in education? Not necessarily. So therefore, you are imposing something which is not the mainstay, USP of the firms. Of course, Michael Porter said something interesting in CSR, which is also has become slightly out of date now. So he said, do such a CSR which will enhance the company's value. Okay, only those CSR which will enhance company's value. So he was always looking at shareholder wealth maximization. Okay, now let's go to ethical dilemmas. Now, let me give you some examples and draw the lessons from the dilemmas. Recently, you must have read in the newspaper, there were riots and looting in Durban, South Africa. Why is it so? You have to go back to history. Earlier, during apartheid times, companies produced, they were efficient, but the benefits went to only the whites. Okay, so after the African National Congress has come to power, they enacted law where they said you must give 26% of the share to share it with the blacks. So all these mining companies readily did. But it was all right if it was a one-time affair. But they found it's a good thing, it's very popular, so they did it again and again. As a result, what has happened? Output has fallen by 10%. Employment has fallen by 50,000 people. The article is there in The Economist. So there is a cost to doing this ethical thing of empowering the blacks. So is the benefit more or the cost more is the question. Obviously, the riots show that the cost has been more. Similarly, there is a system of favoring Bhumi Putras or sons of soil in Malaysia. So can you create, entrepreneurs by mandate? In fact, economists use the term in the Russian context, allotted millionaires, So all these energy companies were given to crony capitalists and they were sarcastically called allotted millionaires. So can you allot entrepreneurship is the question. In both cases, we find, foreign exploitation is bad, but do you put up with that bad or do you put up with the other bad, inefficiency due to local entitlement? So this is the question for the society. Similarly, in India, affirmative action, quota system, there is a charge that creamy layer has cornered all the benefits. Whereas that is the top 5% of the quota beneficiaries. That segment has been used only by the top 10%. That is, I benefit, I come through the quota, then my son comes, then my grandson comes, etc. It has not gone to the percolated to the others. Similarly, we have public sector. Government wants to privatize public sector banks, but facing a huge resistance. Here we say non-performance or non-performing assets, loans given irresponsibility to people versus private sector. For all you have your distrust on the private sector, government's distress, they never allowed defense in the private sector, and that has been the Achilles heels, namely the public sector did not deliver on defense. We are still the biggest importers of defense equipment. Now the government has changed that policy and removed the no entry sign, and let's see what happens. So either again you have either the public sector inefficiency or the public sector inefficiency or private sector corruption and profits. Now, let me give a few more examples and draw what are the issues of social responsibility here. Vedanta Group got a copper mining, Sterlite copper mining license. First, it got it in Maharashtra. There was a huge protest, so it was taken out from there, shifted to Tamil Nadu, and after a protracted legal battle, the National Green Tribunal allowed the company to continue, but the government, there was a huge public protest. The government had to call the police. 28 people died and several injured. So the government decided to close it down. So what is it? Okay, this is subsequent examples. Hindustan Unilever has a thermometer manufacturing plant in Kodaikanal. Now, it says Indian standards have been complied with, but they were far softer or lower than the international standards of mercury pollution affecting people. People are physically affected. Okay. So the battle goes on. The regulator says he has complied with the environmental regulations, but still NGOs are fighting against it. And we knew Union Carbide case, the Bhopal gas tragedy, the methyl isocyanate, MIC, was released in Bhopal because of invest pollution here, which was acceptable in India's Bhopal, but not acceptable in USA. That's why they have come and put up the shop here. So if you look at these three examples, we find Vedanta has, is weak on social responsibility. Union Carbide anyway wound up, it's abysmal. But Hindustan Lever, you would not expect to be socially irresponsible. It's a good company. The public image is good. Then if you go and see, it was not their main business. Their only mistake was in buying the thermometer factory, which was not theirs, from Ponds, India. Okay, so you have to be careful to maintain your social responsibility profile. Then I come to implementation of social responsibility when technology is a double-edged sword. Here, my question is, should society allow progress in disastrous areas? one is nuclear technology. Of course, one answer is if you don't allow people will anyway, invent it. You cannot stop it. But then can you put hurdles for that? Licensing, ethics committees and so on. So one is nuclear technology. That's why we have a non-proliferation treaty, etc. But then the charge against non-proliferation is you are becoming a nuclear club of haves and preventing others from becoming nuclear club, members of nuclear club. The second is virus research. We have seen what stupendous damage the virus can cause the whole world. Now, should you have permitted such a research? And remember, it was one of the best joint projects of US and China, which are cribbing at each other now. Okay. So at that, it was a joint work. People from US, researchers were visiting Wuhan, and Wuhan people were visiting US. They were publishing it in the same prestigious journals, etc., their findings, etc., but the damage is done. The question is, should the ethics committee have stopped this research? I don't have answers. I'm only raising questions. Then next is development and use of weapons of mass destruction. Similar to this, it was the justification for chasing Saddam Hussein, but it was never found. Similarly, the same allegation was against Gaddafi and Assad too. So, how should the society handle is the question. One mechanism is ethics committee. And now we have to see what is the de facto and de jure role of the ethics committee. Is it that de jure it is to prevent misuse and de facto to encourage such research? Is it so? Then a similar disaster is happening in the information technology on data piracy, on blackmail linked through hacking. So US law enforcement agencies are running competitions for hackers and they are recruiting them so that they can be a good answer to the hackers in the market. So the question is, where are we going? Should government do this? Again, when a company is hacked, will it divulge it? If it divulges its market price goes down. But it has to deal with the hacker. It has to deal with the blackmailer. It gives them huge ransom secretly. So how are such things handled? Okay. So it's a great use, science applications, great use, but also great misuse. So the question is how to handle. Now, let me come to the conclusion. Ethics is doing intrinsically good, but it is also a strategically good is the question. Non-violence of Gandhi, did he do it out of ethics or did he do it out of strategy is the question. Do countries with more ethical people have better quality of life? This may be a way to do a cost-benefit analysis on ethics itself. The second question is, how much is it useful to handle double-edged nature of some human progress, fraught with immense benefit as well as immense harm? Transacting money, changing money, transferring is so easy now. You can pay all your bills sitting at home. But at the same time, someone else can steal your money also. So where is the balance? And finally, what incentives to corporates will align their actions along the dictates of ethics to benefit all. So that is the ultimate question of all. Thank you. I stop here.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative session and inculcating in us various uplifting attributes with your thoughtful views. Now we may take up some questions from our participants.
Yeah. Sure.
So we have a student, Ms. Kirtana. She asked, since you told about dharma in this Kali Yuga, where dharma is at its peak, what one can do to save humanity to stop all the violations happening in the name of caste, creed, gender, and what can one do to spread love in this world?
Well, it's a very interesting question, but I look at this as I come from a different angle, in the sense I combine the destiny doctrine here, and I say no one is a personification of dharma and no one is a personification of 100% adharma. We are what we may call the convex combination of both. Some people have dharma more, some people have adharma more. And the beauty of life is that. That is the beauty of life. So this is what is going to happen. And we may say dharma should triumph, dharma should fall, etc. But that is all meant for keep the society in order. In other words, there is nothing like good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It may be a philosophical statement, but as the Chinese say, if you keep the windows open, flies will come, mosquitoes will come. Okay, so the bad comes with the good, as I pointed out in so many of the examples. So one way of looking at it is to see it and enjoy both with the value neutrality. That's what is at least my position.
Thank you, sir. So we have another question from a participant, Ms. Mandeep. Do you think organizations follow ethics with social values while doing CSR activities?
Oh, that's a interesting question. Some people do. Again, that percentage may be, say, 40%. 60% do it for, another out of that 60%, and 30% may do it because it's an act now. You cannot escape. If you make profit, you have to do it. So they may do it. The other 30% may do it out of their own good instinct. So good people, they may be roughly about one third. People who do CSR for whitewashing their sins. Okay, so that is also there to improve their image, to conceal what they are doing. So that is they use it as a substitute for actually being good. So all are there. I can give some examples, at least of good people. Wipro is doing Wipro University, and also they have a wing where they invest a lot of resources on educating the teachers, improving the capacity of teachers, like that. So there are good CSRs also.
Thank you, sir. So we have another question from a participant. CSR comes by heart ethically, but in country like India, it's mandatory because that in the contemporary business world, CSR becomes the marketing branding stunt. Is it true?
If it is mandatory, where is the question of marketing stunt? They may do the marketing stunt, but everybody understands that you have no choice. You see, as long as your balance sheet shows gross profit, a certain percentage of gross profit has to be done. In the initial years, they were lax about implementing this. They have not said what will happen if you don't do it. Okay, but progressively they have been tightening it, government. As I said, I am against it because it is it dilutes the responsibility of the government to do its job.
So the question was by one of our professor, Mr. Kesavalu Pola. Thank you, sir, for asking that question. We have another question from a student called Chavi Kedia. You said in previous time, men were superior than women. If it still happens in some places or some houses, what are your thoughts on it, sir? How can it be solved?
Evolution will take care. We are all evolving. Our thoughts are getting finer. We are moving from just hunting for food to hunting for ideas. So I'm optimist there. And progressively, there was a famous case. The Harvard president, Lawrence Summers, he said, he wondered aloud, how come in academic positions, he doesn't see so many women as men in the higher echelons of academics. You know what happened? He lost his job of Harvard president. And to rub it in, he was one of the most brilliant persons. He had won the award for under 40 years. It's like a Nobel Prize for youngsters. That award also he had won. And to rub salt on the wound, the next Harvard president was a woman.
Thank you, sir. We have a question from one of our faculty, Dr. Rama. How do we differentiate ethical, moral, and legal behaviors in our course of achieving our life goals? Don't the three behaviors overlap and create confusion in the process of achieving our goals of life?
Yeah, they are. They can be overlapping, no doubt, and that's why it depends on the severity of the bad, number one, and ease of implementation, the other thing. Now, if it is very difficult, you see the problem, let me illustrate it with an example. Why did Bhopal gas tragedy happen? Now, it happened because the environmental safeguards that were required to be put were legal in India and illegal in America. Okay, so they could not have done in America what they did in India. Why was it legal in India? Because the amount of knowledge we knew was less. Okay, therefore, on a number of areas we are dark. We do not know. So therefore, there are a lot of loopholes. And therefore, there are, like again in the Mercury's example of Hindustan Liver, you see, the foreign standards were 0.001, and the of pollutant, here the Indian standards was 0.1. I'm giving you some order of magnitude. Why should it be 0.1 here if it is 0.001? Nobody has actually questioned the cost-benefit analysis of these standards. You see? So that was the reason. So it is a function of the society also. You know. Now we are saying, oh, today in Bangalore, from 10 to 4, power will not be there. Can they a similar utility announce in UK or Europe or US? People are just not used to this kind of power cut. But we are, you see, so it's a function of culture also. What is happening, what you can put up with. Okay. They say between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, the bureaucracy is marginally better than Tamil Nadu. Why? Because the people shout. People shout for this thing, and then there are vibrant competition between two political parties. So one party, the party out of power, is always pointing out this, you are doing this wrong, that wrong, etc. So therefore, it's a function, it's again, what you call illegal, what you call legal is a function of your capacity as well. And your tolerance limit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have one last question from a participant called Dr. Ramakrishnan. COVID-19 has no discrimination to create fear and to follow public health measures for its unknown cure. Will ethics committee have similar impact in an organization and thereby to reflect the goodness to the country?
Ethics committee, they should have had at Wuhan first. I think it is, they are still trying to find out whether it was a leak from the laboratory or not, you see. So we have already, opened the stables and the horse has bolted. Now to say that at company level, ethics committees will handle this, I have my own doubts. But in this, what is the ethics committee can do? I think I see it as a very limited role, but there's a lot government can do. In economics terms, we see this as a trade-off between life and livelihood. Okay, so if you concentrate, if you put more importance on life, you will have more bans and more restrictions. If you have if you focus on livelihood, you will allow more mingling, etc., more business to come back, etc. So we are not getting any clear signal from any country. Everybody is in a, state of ignorance, different degrees of ignorance. We heard earlier Kerala was doing extremely well. Now we are hearing Kerala is doing extremely badly. Okay, so I just don't understand this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for clarifying our participants' doubts through your in-depth knowledge. You apprised us with the significance of ethical leadership with your enhanced wisdom and adding a great word to the event and made it fruitful for our participants. It's been indeed a pleasure to listen to your valuable views. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Over to you, Professor Baisakhi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shifa. As we come to the end of day 5, I start with an anonymous quote. I quote, "Doing the right thing doesn't automatically bring success, but compromising ethics almost always lead to failure." Unquote. On this note, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our Chancellor, Dr. Chen Raj Roychen, our Pro-Chancellor, Dr. N. Sundara Rajan, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Raj Singh, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ishwaran Iyer, Registrar, Dr. N.V.H. Krishnan, Director, Academics and Planning, Professor Sridhara Murthy, and the entire family of Jain deemed to be University for developing an ecosystem that has transformed the society and contributed significantly towards its betterment. I thank our esteemed director, Dr. Dinesh Nilekant, Center for Management Studies, Jain deemed to be University, for his overwhelming support and golden words of advices in our endeavors and for inspiring us with his mentorship and guidance. I'm extremely thankful to our speakers, Ms. Nidhi Badera and Professor V. Ranganathan, for giving us enriching insights about the concept of social responsibility in current day business world with ethical practices to be adopted at the management and social levels, etching from the Upanishads, Vedas, and Stone Age to the contemporary era. A special thanks go to Ms. Shaida Shifa for her contribution and support for the event. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us for the 5th day of International Research Summit AVLOKAN. I request all participants to stay with us for all upcoming 4 days for lots more to explore and learn. I'm pleased and honored to announce that we are going to have with us Father of Modern Marketing, Dr. Philip Kotler, on 10th of August, requesting all for your humble presence for the same. For tomorrow, day 6, we have our track presentation for general management and case study, requesting all presenters to stay tuned. Tomorrow, we are going to begin at 7 p.m. sharp. Request you all to log in at 6:45 p.m., 15 minutes prior to the session. Have a great time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shifa.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.